These days, it's become much more difficult for companies to succeed without a digital marketing strategy. And while traditional tactics still have value, businesses need to be where their customers are, and that's on their phones. We have Mindi Kern with us here today, and she's going to walk us through the importance of a digital strategy and why it's important to remain consistent, and also tell us what all of these buzzwords mean. Welcome, Mindi. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary Stratton.
Mindi, can you explain to us why this is such an important topic for us to talk about?
Yes, well, I think if 2020 has showed us anything, it's the importance of having easy access and digital access for folks at home to be able to connect with other people, to be able to connect through working events, to be able to connect with coworkers and colleagues. So yes, I think if we've learned anything is that having easy access digitally, an easy way to communicate, and a way for people to feel connected through being separated physically.
So tell us a little bit about your work background and how you got connected with the Winning Smile.
Okay, well, it's hard to believe, but I have been in the marketing industry now for 13 years. And I say it's hard to believe because it doesn't feel that long to me. But I first started in the marketing advertising agency world in 2008, and it was at a small 3-man shop in the Fondren area right out of graduate school. And really kind of, learned, the basics there, and then went to a larger firm, Mad Genius, in the metro area, and eventually worked my way up to the Ramey Agency, which is a full-service, high-performance firm in the Jackson area. And I was at the Ramey Agency until 2019. And I honestly thought I was going to live and die the agency life because it's all I knew, and I loved it. Even the stress and hustle and bustle, I loved it. But as my own personal goals changed and my kids got older and we got busier, I just started looking at other options. So in a stroke of good luck and good connections, you, Mary Stratton, mentioned to me that you had a friend who was looking for some in-house marketing help for their growing business. And it turns out it was Dr. Wendy Lewis, who is a dentist with the Winning Smile Dental Group, who was also one of my very first clients at that small 3-man shop back in 2008. So Wendy and I were both at the beginning stages of our career back then. And so she was, again, one of the first clients I'd worked with. And over the next 10 or 11 years, I'd kept up with her and the Winning Smile on social media and casually and kind of follow their success. And so when you put that bug in my ear, I had to reach out and see what was there. So I reached out to Wendy and her business partner, Dr. Lee Gary, and it went from there.
Your connection to the Winning Smile and your role as their marketing director, it makes me think that every business needs marketing. You wouldn't think that a dental practice would be able to utilize marketing in the way that you've done that. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, a lot of people are surprised when they hear that a dental office has an in-house marketing director. What do they need that for? But when you look at them as strictly a business and entrepreneurs, they are a thriving multi-location practice in the area with a 4th location opening this month. And they have business goals and needs just as any other industry business would. And them as dentists, they are healthcare professionals. They are very busy doing their trade and treating patients. And marketing was something they valued and knew was important to grow their business, but it wasn't something they had the capacity to do themselves. And they really wanted to have an in-house person that was part of the team, as opposed to working with an agency. So they wanted someone who really was invested in the team, who knew the core values of the Winning Smile, who knew what was important to them, and someone who was really a colleague as opposed to a vendor. So yes, a lot of people are surprised when they hear they have an in-house marketing director, but they really understand the importance of marketing and the means that it gives to grow your business, and that applies across any industry. So,
with clients in the healthcare industry, you guys were particularly hit by the global pandemic.
Yes.
I mean, it affected all of us.
Right.
But for healthcare workers like dentists and doctors and nurses, it was a completely new ballgame. So
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how your role kind of tweaked with theirs?
Yes. Well, I still have a little PTSD from it. It was very overwhelming, but the best way I can describe is we paused, we pivoted, we rethought, re-strategized, paused again, and then re-strategized again. And so thankfully we weren't completely shut down. We were able to treat emergency patients for the 2 months that there was a full shut down in a lot of industries, we were able to still remain open and see emergency patients. So we knew there was still importance of having a message still out there. So yes, we did have to scale back on our marketing tactics. Obviously, we had to cut back on expenses as we were not seeing as many patients for 2 months. But thankfully, our dentists really, again, understand the value of marketing, and they said, what is your recommendation for keeping a message out there? So looking at everything of ROI and of what we had going on and what was the best means to stay in touch with people, we kept organic social media going, of course, and SEO. And SEO was something that we have really been building up over the last couple of years. It's a long game. And so I did not want to turn that faucet off, so to speak, during that 2 months and do any damage to what we had been working so hard to build up over the last couple of years. So thankfully, they agreed with that. We ran with it. And so yes, it was definitely a scale back, but we were able to keep a message out there and stay in communication for a very cost-effective tactics with our patients.
Right. As a professional marketer, you are used to, like you said, pivoting and, sort of reading the room. And so how much of your job is digital versus traditional when people think about marketing? That's what they think about.
Digital is a large portion. There's definitely a time and place for traditional, of course, but we really value metrics that we can track, that we can analyze, that we can assess and see what message is resounding with people, where people are finding us, where are we reaching people the most. And digital marketing just allows you that flexibility. It has more metrics than you ever need and more analytics that you can digest. And so that's something that we're able to really understand where people are finding us, understand where those patients are that we desire and how to reach them. So we still run television. We do some streaming capabilities. We're doing a radio campaign right now, which we haven't done in actually several years. But the largest portion of our budget is definitely digital. And that encompasses SEO, search engine optimization, paid search engine marketing, social media, organic and paid, and of course, Google reviews and Google Map review, all kinds of things that kind of float under that. But yes, it's definitely a big part, and it's something super necessary in today's world.
Right. And you've been a supporter of The Source since day one. Yes. So you know that so much of our membership is made up of small business owners, people who work in large businesses. What are some strategies that you think any business could utilize?
Any business? Well, if you don't at least have a Facebook page, then what are you doing? I mean, you have to be out there in the most searchable way for a new customer to find you. And I think most people these days, if a business doesn't at least have a Facebook page, then it takes away some of the credibility that business might have to a viewer looking on the internet. So say the bottom line is social media. Start that Facebook page, look at your audience, see what platform would make the most sense for your audience. Obviously, Facebook remains king for a platform for businesses, but what if you owned a tween fashion boutique? Well, maybe you should be on TikTok or Snapchat. So definitely take an assessment of your audience and really where your desired audience is, and think what platform would work best to reach them and where. But yeah, that would be the basics. If you have the know-how or a connection or the means to work with a SEO company, then I would say SEO. To be able to drive people to your website and let people find your website is super important to grow your business. So you gotta be playing in that organic search game.
Right. I think marketers are really bad to use acronyms. So for those watchers who aren't necessarily familiar with SEO or have heard that several times and want to know more about it, what is it, and what trends in SEO do you see for 2021 and beyond?
So yes, SEO is definitely an acronym that is thrown out there a lot, but it is search engine optimization. And in the simplest form of explaining it, it is ways of attracting customers to your website. So think about Google and Bing and all the search parties out there and all the millions of users that are in there typing words and search phrases daily, hourly. Your website, you can have a great website. You could have spent a lot of time and money and effort to build it, but if no one can find it, then it's not serving you the way it could. So SEO is a lot of keyword rankings and search terms and a lot of behind the scene things that no one really wants to know about. But it is a way to allow people to find you and allow people to, when they search dentist in Madison, Mississippi, that the winning smile is hopefully going to pop up on page 1, if not at the top of the page. So we thankfully work with a digital marketing vendor who knows way more about the nuts and bolts about SEO and really helps us stay on top of keyword rankings, what people are searching for, creative ways to get more terms and copy out there through our website, whether that's through blog content, through FAQ section on our website, or social media. So it's just allowing people to get out there in the vast world of the internet and still find your website through key search terms.
Right, and you mentioned social media, and I would venture to say that everyone in this room and everyone watching has some experience with social media on a personal level.
Right.
But how can businesses utilize social media effectively?
Well, I think it can be overwhelming for some business owners. I think of my in-laws have a Shipley donut shop in Hattiesburg, and they're in their early 60s. And they said, look, we know we need a Facebook page. We know we need to be putting that out there, but where do we start? It's donuts. It's pretty cut and dry. And so to them, it was just getting over being overwhelmed of, hey, just put something out there. It's donuts. Post a delicious picture of donuts, and you don't even have to have a super witty caption at first, but just let people see your product, what you're selling. So I would say, put yourself out there. Be consistent. Try to develop some kind of posting schedule or a message rhythm of things you're posting regularly so people can come to depend on your content in their newsfeed, and also so people can interact with that and drive your engagement. So think about if you only have 2 people working for your shop and you don't have the capacity to hire someone, then take on what you can. Say, I can commit to doing 3 posts a week or 4 posts a week and taking a few pictures a week of our product. Start there and just think of it organically grow your base. And as your page develops and your community develops and you have more interaction, then yes, you'll want to get more into paid social media and all of the different functions that Facebook for Business now offers you, and ways you can track what's performing. And again, those metrics and those analytics are super helpful, but don't be overwhelmed by it. Just start, try to be consistent. Think about your audience again, where they are, where to find them, and try to figure out what they're wanting to see. And for my in-laws, for example, it was just delicious pictures of donuts. That's all they need to see. So start there and grow your community.
So what social media trends are you seeing coming up? A big part of marketing is identifying trends and trying to sort of adapt your business or your strategy along with that. So what do you see looking forward?
Well, the trends that that I've seen and have been researching, so much of those have come as a result of what 2020 dealt us. So we're still seeing super responsiveness, super transparent content. I think community is huge right now in your content, of showing how you not only have a community for your business, but how you're interacting and serving your community as well. So, keeping things open with your message about, hey, we're open, we're safe, we're clean. That is still definitely a part of content now. But to really focus on the people. I think we've all learned this past year of what we have to depend on each other to get through some of these things we've been dealt. And so to really focus on your customer and who they are as people and what matters to them. So, for say the winning smile, of course I'm going to post, educational tips. I'm going to post, before and afters of cosmetic procedures. But a lot of what resounds with our patients is seeing our work culture, our staff, our meaningful ways we give back to the community, because that is what has carried us through this past year. So seeing definitely that in content, but also in Google reviews is still so huge. Facebook reviews, to have those people vouching for your business, especially during this time where some local businesses have not been able to thrive. I think that is key, is to have those high number of reviews, 5-star reviews, so people, when they're searching for you, you come up, but also so people can vouch for, oh, okay, so this is someone who I want to support and want to give my business to locally.
A global pandemic has created challenges for businesses all across the world in every industry. So what are some challenges that you see as far as digital marketing is concerned?
And I don't think this is really unique to necessarily this year, but a challenge is definitely just how overcrowded the digital marketing space has become. I mean, think about all of the users out there, all of the businesses, all of the websites and pages, it's overwhelming to think about the amount of information that's out there. So as a digital marketer, it can be overwhelming to think about performing in a very saturated space and how to do it effectively and how to do it cost effectively, because so many, I don't want to throw out a bunch of terms, but think about your cost per click. I mean, some of these can be driven up super high to where what was once a very affordable ways of communicating with people and advertising can become very expensive based on competition. So that seems to be a continued struggle, can be just how to perform and get noticed and get those key audience members to see your content while still doing it in an affordable space and not getting lost and drowned out in the oversaturated digital market.
I would say one of the main cornerstones of your job, if not the most important, is identifying these trends and patterns and staying on top of them. Right. So how do you do that as a marketer?
A lot of researching and reading, I mean, really daily, because so much changes, as we know with social media. It's always changing, it's always evolving. And so it's something that even if you're a very experienced marketer, you might wake up one day and Instagram or Facebook has changed a feature that kind of rocks your world a little bit as a marketer. So it's staying on top of that, and that's maybe by following social media platforms, their channels and their blogs, and seeing what content they're putting out there. Joining those webinars when you can that has helpful information. We as a dental office really believe in continuing education for our staff and our dentists, but that also applies to marketing, of continuing to learn and stay up with trends and obviously different features as they upgrade and update, because it is ever changing. So I would say it's just consuming as much information as you can. Also connect with other marketers, whether in your community locally or online, and support each other and share those tips that you're seeing or trends that you're seeing evolve, and help each other as we navigate this crazy world. So
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Love this conversation. And for people who would like to know more about what you do, or about the Winning Smile, or about the dentist that you represent, where can they find out?
Yes, they can go to the
And about the donuts.
Oh yeah. Well, the Winning Smile, they can go to thewinningsmile.com. And as I said, we're opening our 4th location in Madison this month. So we have a lot of exciting things going on in addition to our 3 locations in Jackson, Flowood, and Brandon. And they can learn more about our procedures and our awesome, talented staff of dentists, and see some of the the website work that we have done to really build our site to be a high-performing site. So, and Shipley Donuts Hattiesburg is my in-laws. It's my in-laws donut shop.
And I know if our watchers are interested more about the dental industry, they can listen to our podcast episode
Yes.
with Dr. Wendy Lewis, and
Yes.
it's a great one. And she talks a lot about work-life balance and
Yes.
her role as a working mom and as a professional and as a business owner. So that's
yes,
great.
Definitely check out that podcast, because she is a great example of a working mom, business owner, entrepreneur who is doing it all and making it look easy, right?
Mindy, thanks so much for being here today. I loved our conversation, and I know that our watchers and listeners will too.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy talking with you, and happy to do it.
Thank you so much for watching. We would love to hear from you as well. If you liked what you saw today and would like to learn more, visit us on thesource.net. You can submit suggestions there, join our network, and add yourself to our membership directory. And you can also submit some suggestions there too, if you have something that you'd like to learn more about, or someone that you would like to hear from. Also, follow us on social media and check out our podcast, Inside Source, anywhere you get your podcasts.